Hey, Perfect Spirit. Thanks for watching. I hope you're doing well, having a good day. So, today we want to talk about reincarnation, past lives, and the continuation of life. But before we begin, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you stay on top of my new videos. I am creating a lot more videos today. If you have an idea for a video or a question that you want to ask, let me know, and perhaps we can create a video on that, give you some clarity. All right, so I always talk about things from my own direct experience. It's not a theory for me. So first, let's dive into reincarnation. I actually witnessed someone reincarnate. It was when I was married to my first wife, her grandfather, Calman. I watched him come back, which would be his great great grandchild, I guess it would be. All right, so let's dive into this. So Calman had a nice relationship with his grandchildren, which were our niece and nephew. So we'll call Bethany and Nathan. Well, Bethany was a little younger than Nathan, maybe like 3, 4 years. So when the grandfather died, Calman, Nathan was around 13, 14. I guess Bethany was like 8, 9 years old, somewhere around there. So Calman passed, so we advanced 10 years. So now Bethany's early 20s, Nathan's mid 20s. So both of them are expecting a child around the same time. So Calman comes to me in a dream and he says, Bethany's child is being born this day and this will be the name. Now I knew Bethany was going to have a boy, but I didn't know exactly when, and I didn't have any clue on the name, but it was very specific, this day, this name. And it was. I never would have guessed that the child would have been named Jacob Emmett, and it was. So it was really remarkable that came through. But then he told me, I'm being born exactly a week later. And he did. Nathan had a baby boy a week later, but Nathan did not know the sex of the baby. But indeed, this baby boy was born. But when it's a baby, you really can't tell if that's the person or not. But let's advance a little bit. So the baby's like 3, 4 years old. I don't see the baby that often because Nathan lives far away. So the 3, 4 years old, this baby. And I see this baby and he has the same exact mannerisms as Calman did. It's like, yes, that's definitely Calman. So then Nathan had another baby and another boy. And I had the sense this was Calman's wife. But I never stayed in that marriage to really see how, Nathan's second child came to be. But it was rather interesting because Nathan passed not too long after the second boy was born. Cancer, and that's life, unfortunately, that this body comes and goes, which leads to the next thing. So it was rather, before we go there, so it was rather interesting. So we had, a male female married, which were the grandparents to their great grandchild, and they came back as his children, as brothers. And that's how the continuation of life is. Life continues all through these various forms the mind cannot understand. And once you get this head trash out of the way, you might get glimpses of all your past lives, because you'll see there is no time and space. Everything is right here, right now. But you can also do some past life meditations as well. I don't know how accurate they are. I really don't know. But when I had those glimpses, like one time I was given a Chinese word. I had no idea what that meant. It was a Chinese word for truth. Chinese word for truth. Then I saw from that glimpse, I was like, okay, what's that about? So then I had the glimpse that I was a student of Confucius. Then I had other glimpses of, being with the Greek philosophers. Then I also had the experience of either being thrown off a bridge or the wall of a castle. Like all sorts of experiences that were not immune from any type of experience. Like, you're not always male, you're not always female. You're playing these different roles, different characters, and that's life. Life is the Leela, the dance, that we're playing these characters. And we don't want to get too hung up on this current human experience. It's this experience right now. And we have to make the most of this experience because we don't know if we're coming back, exactly how we're coming back, even if we're coming back to Earth, because there's no rules to spirit. There's no regulations. We're just coming in and out of different forms from this one consciousness. So that's the continuation of life. And we don't want to discard this life either. There's an important part of you being here. Will you leave a legacy through a video, a book, a piece of drawing, a painting? How are you going to leave your mark in the world? Create a company, create something. We're here to be creators ultimately. I know one of my past lives was very important for philosophy students because I wrote a book on philosophy, and I know it's still being used and discussed today, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't serve any purpose to say I was this philosopher. It doesn't, because life just comes and goes. It just flows. It's a dance. It's just interesting. It's like, oh, I had that experience. I had that experience. Female experience, male experience, being thrown and killed, being a person of influence, all these different characters we have. You may be wealthy one day, poor. We have everything. And we probably have thousands, maybe millions of different lives because we are this one consciousness and all these different costumes. So we really want to be kind to one another because they are you, but in a different costume. They're just doing their own dance of life, that we're all dancing to life. And this may be kind of hard to comprehend. So that was kind of interesting. I just felt like talking about reincarnation today because this might not be the last stop. It could be. And you may stay in the spiritual realms for a while. I felt I've stayed in the spiritual realms for 1,000 years, 500 years, till I thought it was time to come back. I saw that glimpse. I saw that gap in the human experience, if you will. Philosopher? Oh, go away to Discovery America. So there's a big, huge gap of just staying in the spiritual realms. But we don't want to get too hung up. That's the big thing. We don't want to get too hung up on the human experience. We're here ultimately to discover who we are, that we are consciousness. We're not this head trash, which is those concepts, those stories, those beliefs. We don't want to take those as our truth. I took them as my truth and nearly killed myself because of that voice. Made myself very depressed that life was so difficult, not worth living, constantly going in that noise. When we can let go of that mind and really dive into the consciousness, our spiritual heart, we can see there's no mistakes. Everything's unfolding as it needs to unfold. I'm here to dance the dance of life, to have this experience, to leave my mark, and whatever that mark is for you. But ultimately, we have to see that we are this one consciousness and different disguises. So we just need to relax, not get caught up so strongly in the human experience. Know who you are, perfect spirit, consciousness. Once you know that, then other doors will open up. And the mind can't figure this out. The mind doesn't understand why you're here if you're lost in them thoughts. But we're here to be creators. We're here to create, whether it's children, books, companies, art, music, whatever that is. We're here to create, to discover who we are and to create, because consciousness is very creative. You can go to any cemetery and find these very interesting stories about individuals. Especially here in New York City, there's a huge cemetery I love to visit, Greenwood Cemetery. Everybody from all walks of life. And you see the monuments and you Google their name, and it's quite fascinating. Oh, wow. They invented the sewing machine. Oh, there was the first mayor of Brooklyn. And it's just really, really a fascinating thing. The stories that are left behind, the legacy. So thanks for watching. I think that's all I wanted to talk about today. Let me know if you have any questions, what you want to discuss. And I do have these dissolving head trash sessions. You can check out my website and learn about when I'm having those. Or you can, find me on Facebook, YouTube, wherever, Instagram. I'm around. But really be gentle with yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Realize it's just the dance of life. Everything's working out as it needs to work out, and the mind simply cannot understand that. All right, well, take good care of yourself. Talk